In 2019, you probably saw this. Houston Chronicle ran a series of articles called Abuse of Faith, and it charted over 700 cases in Baptist churches where there was clergy sex abuse, and in some cases, serial clergy sex abuse. So somebody in a pastoral position or other spiritual leadership position in the context of a church abused someone, and in many cases, they would be fired and moved to another church and do the same thing, and sometimes again and again and again. So this was a kind of another example that I was seeing. I had had the personal examples in my life, but now I'm seeing in a very public and national way. Of course, you know about the Catholic Church and struggling with the same thing, but all of these things were just coming to the top. I don't know if you know the name Mark Driscoll of Mars Hill Church, but Mars Hill Church in Seattle was one of the largest churches in America. They had about 16,000 people on Sunday mornings. Their church, I think, had nearly 20 campuses in 4 states. He had a very public leadership failure as well, not anything sexual, but in terms of toxic leadership. Within 6 weeks, that church shut down as a result of his public crash and burn. More recently, this last summer, Dallas Morning News and New York Times had front page articles on a failure of pastoral character. The Dallas Morning News covered about 8 major pastors in the DFW Metroplex who had some kind of public moral failing. When the character issue in the church is getting the attention of the Dallas Morning News and the New York Times, it's a problem. And so all of these things began to kind of surface in my heart, and God began to just put a real burden in my heart for the issue of pastoral health and pastoral character. And I saw that there's a disconnect somewhere, that we have these very powerful preachers and dynamic leaders who are leading large growing ministries, but they're having these private moral failings or leadership failings that are causing their ministries to crash and burn. And the reality is that every pastor, while we may not all face the same kind of public or extreme failures, there are dangers that every pastor faces.